Hey, Omnidogs and Omnikittens, it's Omnidog here with Root Beer Reviews from Omnidog's Vault, and we're talking about the best of 2017 with Marvel Comics. And this episode is still sponsored. I'm still sponsored by Boylan until I run out of it. They were nice enough to send me a free case when they heard from my producer Giovanni Menendez from A Week in Geekdom that I like their root beer, so that was cool of them. So let's get started on the best of Marvel with two caveats. One is just because I don't talk about it doesn't mean it wasn't good. I'm doing this all on my own dime, so I can't review all books that anybody puts out. I just buy what I think looks interesting or what I've heard good things about. So if I don't talk about it, it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means I haven't gotten to it. And the other thing is that um, these books were just published in 2017. Since I'm a trade waiter, I wait till everything is in a collected edition. So these things could have come out as far back as, I don't know, 2010, 2014, sometime, but they've been collected this year. So it's for collected editions that we're talking about. And the first one I'll talk about from Marvel is Legion, X-Men Legion. And I will read the back to you as I read the back to you as I show you the pictures, the pretty pictures. His name is Legion and he is many. Just don't call him that to his face. He is David Haller, son of Charles Charles Xavier. And throughout his life, he has been haunted by an array of personalities, each with its own mutant ability. David just might be the world's most powerful mutant if only he could harness his gifts. So he has many powers within his head, but he has trouble silencing the other voices in his head. And I was turned on to this book because I loved the TV show this year on Fox or FX or whatever it was. Legion, great show. And it made me want to read this book, and the book did not let me down. One of the few Omnis that I could actually read in just a couple days. It's not some big giant thing. It's fairly reasonably sized, reasonably priced at $75, and you can get it for cheaper than that, I'm quite sure, from in-stock trades. So I highly recommend Legion. My hat's off to Marvel for letting Cy Spurrier write this thing. It's got a lot of artists involved in it because this is really some out-of-the-box, pushing the envelope writing, and I give Marvel full credit for letting this be published because it is kind of groundbreaking in my opinion. The next books have one thing in common. The rest of my books have one thing in common. I didn't do it on purpose. I just pulled what I thought were the most interesting books that I liked the most this year in 2017. They're all female-centric. That's just the way it goes. I didn't find any X-Men or Avengers books really that interesting, although I haven't read All New, All Different Avengers yet. That's on my to-read pile. So let's start with SpiderGwen. I did a review earlier this year of all Spider Chicks, and if you want to search for that, because I liked all these Spider books that were featuring the Spider Chicks. This is an alternate reality where Gwen Stacy is the one bitten by the spider. She gains the powers of the spider, calls herself SpiderGwen. This is a wildly popular book. She's also in a band, and her dad's the police chief, and she's like a vigilante. And I love this book, and lots of other people do too. SpiderGwen's quite popular, so I'm not going out on a limb here saying that this is a great book and you'd enjoy it, because lots of people feel the same way. And SpiderGwen's kind of old. I don't know when she dates back to, 2014 maybe. That's a rhetorical question. I don't really need the answer, but she's older than 2017, but this is when this book came out. Very nice hardcover. Marvel always just does a good job with its hardcovers, its oversized hardcovers. They're beautiful. Hang on a second. The next book up is one of the things I just finished reading, The Unstoppable Wasp. Unfortunately, she is stoppable. Marvel stopped her because she's only getting one more trade paperback, and they canceled the title, which is too bad. She spent the first. I knew nothing about this comic before I picked it up. She spent the first half of her life in Soviet captivity in a place called the Red Room, where she developed her brain to a very high level and inherited her father, Hank Pym's, ability to create a way to shrink down on a microscopic level. And she's quite an inventor. And she wants to get a huge group of girls together and promote their scientific genius. So there's lots of guest appearances by some really popular characters in this book. I loved Unstoppable Wasp. I just thought it was all these female-centric books are just fresh and bright and interesting to me. I just find the other books kind of tired. So I loved this book, and I think you'd like it too. So The Unstoppable Wasp, unfortunately, got stopped by her own publisher. The next books that I liked, Silk, volumes 0 through 3. And I really loved Silk. Silk gets bitten by the same spider that bit Peter Parker. Her name's Cindy Moon, so I believe she's a Chinese American. She loses her family, and the whole run, it's a finished run, 0 through 3 trade paperbacks. And the art's good, if a little cartoony, but the writing is solid, and she's a great character. I really like Silk. I think she's pretty popular too. And she goes up against Black Cat in pretty much all 4 volumes. And I think there's even a guest appearance by Bobby Morse, aka Mockingbird, in this. It's a good book, and I did do a review, as I said earlier, of all the Spider Chicks. If you want to check that out, earlier this year. I loved Silk, and it's volumes 0, 1, 2, 3. If you want to check that out. Next up is my favorite book of the year. That is The Unbelievable GwenPool. She is great. She gets dropped into, let's see, I have 3 trades here. She gets dropped into the Marvel Universe as a regular citizen, but since she's a comic book reader, she knows her way out of all kinds of sticky situations. This book breaks the 4th wall repeatedly, and well, she is GwenPool, so she's a bit Deadpoolish. It is just funny and fun and a really lighthearted take on superheroes. I got to meet Christopher Hastings at AwesomeCon, and I complimented him on his writing on this. I just love GwenPool. She's just super fun, and that is the reason why I read comics. I want to have fun. So I think you'd enjoy GwenPool too. I just can't wait for every GwenPool to come out. And as my friend Riley Moore says, the only thing unbelievable about The Unbelievable GwenPool is how unbelievably great it is. And I may be paraphrasing him, but that was the general concept. I can't really remember. But yeah, Unbelievable GwenPool is unbelievably great. And I loved every single minute of it. I can't wait for the next trade paperback. There's 3 of them. Here's the first one. The other ones were 2 and 3. The next one is super popular. It's an all ages book. It's super popular with young people. I got a big kick out of it. It's included in the Scholastic book orders, which is why, even though it's not popular as a floppy, it still sticks around as a trade paperback because it sells well to schools. That would be Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. Lots of fun. Lunella Lafayette is the smartest one in the Marvel Universe, unseating people like Tony Stark, Doctor Doom, and Reed Richards. The art's pretty cartoony, but I like the fact that she is a very powerful, smart 9-year-old There's lots of guest appearances in these books that are really keep it interesting. It is just a fresh, interesting, fun book. And I think that you ought to give it a try if you like to have fun in comics, like I do. Let me show you some more. Some more art. She's a brainiac, and she is one of the ones that gets recruited by the unstoppable Wasp. We'll have to see what happens in that book. But I dug this book, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, and I think you would too. They're trade paperbacks, they're cheap, and they are fun. And next up, 3 books that I really liked. I'm quite sure this may have been one of my first reviews this year, first part of my channel. I loved Scarlet Witch. The central conceit of this book is magic is sick, and the Scarlet Witch has to set out and find out what's happening to magic and why it's broken. She goes up against one of her old foes, and the art is beautiful in this book, and the writing is stellar by James Robinson. I loved Scarlet Witch, and I know you would too. This is just an excellent book that I really dug. And it's also three trade paperbacks that complete the story. Really well thought out story with really interesting art and a dynamic to it that is very interesting. So I dug Scarlet Witch a lot. Here's 2 and then 3. Yeah, 3. So I think you'd really dig it. She goes all over the world to try and find out why magic is sick, visiting various other magicians and sorcerers, and it is just a beautiful book. And last on my list of 2017 is Mockingbird. I loved Mockingbird. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. It was really sharply written by Chelsea Cain. It is full of witty banter, and that's what I like. It's practically like a TV show full of witty banter. It's sharply written, really fun, an interesting take on Bobby Morse, aka Mockingbird, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. And this was really well done, and it broke my heart that Marvel decided to cancel it. I think that's a mistake, but I'm not in charge at Marvel. I would have loved it if they had given this a chance to 12, 24 issues, something more than the 8 issues they gave it. It's too bad because this book is really good and really enjoyable. It's one of my favorite books of the year, easily. I'd like to reread it. Now that I'm looking through it again, I'm going to reread it. I liked it that much. And I pretty much think you would too. So Mockingbird is the final book in the Best of Marvel 2017. Great book. I'm also thinking about starting an Instagram account, and that way I can post what I'm reading and you can read along with me, and then we can discuss it somehow in the following weeks. Sort of like a reading club or something, and I can post pictures of my collection and my hauls and things like that. So I'd appreciate any kind of input on that. If you're interested in following me on Instagram, I don't have an account now. So let me know about that. Please give this a like. Please feel free to subscribe, and I always respond to comments. So feel free to comment. Thank you very much, and that's it for my Best of 2017 series. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I gave you some good ideas. Thanks a lot.